Well, China is reportedly relaxing its controversial one-child policy. According to state media, couples will be allowed to have 2 children, but only if one of the parents is an only child. Well, previously, a couple could have a second child if both parents were only children. The state media also says the ruling Communist Party will abolish its controversial labor camp system. Let's get more from Andrew Thomas. He's in the capital, Beijing, for us. So a bit of a surprise shift when it comes to the one-child policy. What's going on, Andrew?
Well, it has been anticipated. There was a big meeting of Communist Party bosses in Beijing last weekend, and it was expected that reform of the one-child policy would be on the agenda for that. And it was a bit of a surprise, to be honest, when the initial summary of those discussions came out on Tuesday and the one-child policy wasn't mentioned. Here, though, we have the full policy document given to state media, and dramatic reform of the one-child policy is there. As you say, what this new policy means is that if either member of a couple was a single child themselves, they can now have more than one child in their new couple, if you like. And given that the policy has been in place since 1979, so for more than 3 decades, there aren't many couples left in China of childbearing age that it doesn't apply to. And of course, going forward, there'll be even fewer. So although this isn't official abolition of one-child policy, it does really amount to that. So fairly dramatic in that sense. Why now? Well, in a sense, the policy has done its job. Back in 1979, when it was introduced, China was a poor country facing an exploding population. Over the last 30 years or so, it's thought up to about 400 million births haven't happened because of this policy. So in that sense, it's been very successful. And of course, China is a much, much richer country now than it was back then. So in some senses, job done, no need for it anymore. But of course, China's also now facing the opposite problem. It's facing an ageing population. It needs more young people. So that's another reason why. And also, I think that important to note is this isn't expected to lead to any great explosion in the birth rates. There have been trials of reform in certain areas of China, and in those areas where women are now eligible to have 2 children, only about half, in fact just fewer than half, have actually done so. So I wouldn't expect an exploding birth rate as a result of this.
All right, and perhaps some of those changes also linked to the other policy change on labour camps. What's going on there?
Well, that's right. These deeply unpopular labour camps, re-education through labour camps, introduced back in 1957 by Chairman Mao, and they were established really for people who didn't agree with the communist ideology. But over the years, those people thrown into these camps have changed, and it's been really used for anybody who's not been convicted of any serious criminal offence. In fact, there are no trials to end up in one of these camps at all. And over the years, millions of people have been through them. Right now, it's thought, depending on who you believe, anything between about 500,000 and 2 million people are languishing in them. And what the state media says is that it was a recognition by the Communist Party that they were deeply against human rights. They also violated the judicial process as well. So they are going to be wound down. I think with both of these policies, though, the crucial thing to say is that both one-child policy and the labour camps are deeply unpopular, well known in China. And what this is the Communist Party doing is saying we can reform things, we can listen to your complaints and do something about it without the need to fundamentally change the system, without the need, frankly, for democracy. So you can have authoritarianism, but accountable authoritarianism is the way that it's been described to me. And I think both these reforms are a sign of that and a sign of the direction that President Xi Jinping is taking China.
All right, thanks so much, Andrew Thomas there.